you coming to talk about today?
Well, racial inequality, me being a black man in America, I've really experienced it, and I'm fairly young. I'm only 20 years old, but beginning of this year, my grandparents and I, and my mom, we're on the way, packing up, getting ready to go to Jamaica for have a good time, get away for a week. I'm sitting in the car, I already got my stuff loaded into the car. I'm waiting for my grandparents to pack up everything else that they need. The police pull up, 4 cop cars deep, 4 deep. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just sitting in the car, got my hoodie on, it's 4 a.m., it's cold outside, got a little blanket thrown over me. Police hops out the car, he comes up to the car, he asked me, what are you doing in this neighborhood? I informed him, I said, officer, I'm just simply waiting for my grandparents to come out the house. I said we were getting ready to leave, we're finna go about our business. He informs me that, oh, there was a shooter in the area. And I said, officer, you can clearly look into my vehicle and see that I'm unarmed. I'm just sitting here, like I said, I'm waiting for my grandparents to come out the house so we can proceed to go to the airport and leave. The lieutenant comes around from the other side of the car. He's like, get his, he said some foul language to me. He said, get his butt out the car, and he swings my car door open and grabs me out of the car. At this time, the lieutenant who came behind him draws his gun down on me. And I'm like, whoa, like, I said, officer, you can clearly see that I'm unarmed, not a shooter. I said, y'all need to be worried about y'all's business that y'all showed up here for. I said, clearly, I'm not the one that has the issue here or is the issue here. And it proceeded to them threatening to take me to jail because I'm voicing my opinion, telling them like, y'all are detaining me, putting me in handcuffs for what? Again, I've been in handcuffs before. It's like, I don't like that. I don't like that feeling of being chained, being shackled. So it was very uncomfortable, when by the time my family came out and saw that I was being detained and, they're searching my vehicle and everything else, my mom was like, were you scared? Yes, I was more so scared than anything, but when I'm scared, I'm not one to like tense up, freeze up. I'm gonna voice out my opinion. I'm gonna say, hey, what's the issue? What is the reason for this? And it just led to like just me basically them racially profiling me. They see a black man in a car at 4 a.m. Yes, I understand that they're responding to a call that they came out here for. But when I'm informing them, hey, I'm not doing anything suspicious. I'm just waiting, simply for this, simply for that. It escalated into something bigger than what it needed to be.
Right. You said they called you some words that...
Well, it's not that they called me like they said anything racist or anything. Like they just, they were using foul language towards me. Get his ass out the car. Why is he being so aggressive? Like, because again, it's 5 of y'all, 1 of me. My family's inside. It's like y'all could, as soon as if I get to moving wrong, I jump out this car the wrong way. You gonna up moss on me, and then what? I'm just another statistic. Another unarmed black man in America gunned down.
All right. Where did this take place again?
This happened on South Acme Road in San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio. Do you feel that just discrimination and how cops nowadays go about their business, do you think they just, when they get a call in about a shooter or armed robbery or anything of that nature, that they just go to the nearest black man?
I mean, I would have my suspicions. I'm gonna be real. I would, but I'm not gonna profile when I'm gonna ask questions. I'm gonna get to the underlying meaning of it, and then if I see that there's no threat, there's nothing going on, I'm gonna keep going in the pursuit of the wrongful actions that have taken place.
How did you see cops after this experience? How did this experience affect you mentally?
Well,
physically and stuff.
Again, like I got scars from the handcuffs, and I had little lacerations and stuff. Had some bruising on me from them grabbing me. At that, I've gone to jail before. Nothing big. You know what I'm saying? But since I've gone to jail, my outlook on police has been different. Like again, I felt like I was racially profiled at that because after I got out of jail, 3 days later, I'm sitting in a restaurant, and the same cop who arrested me comes up and puts his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, "Oh, I see you got out." White cop at that. And I'm like, "Sir, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just potentially tried to, damage my life, like, put me in a compromising situation. What you did, you took me to jail, you fingerprinted me, you booked me, you got my face on camera and everything else. There's no issue with that, but again, you just tried to mess up my life. I even informed you that, hey, I'm trying to do something with my life. I'm trying to go and grow and better myself." At that, I took my ride, you know what I'm saying? Like, ultimately, I laid in my bed, so I had to make it, you know what I'm saying? At the end of that, it came down to what it was, and my outlook on police itself, I wouldn't say has changed, because like I've always kind of seen that, there are corrupt police officers, but you actually have some that go by the book and, try to be fair as they can be. It's a lot of good cops out there. I'm not gonna just say, oh, all cops are bad, because I wouldn't want somebody to say that about me again. It's like, I can be good, I can be bad, you don't know. And then at that, I took the test to become a sheriff in the county of Bexar County, and I passed the test. I did everything, and I was real life gonna take that plunge to be a cop. So I'm not gonna say that I have pent up aggression towards it. It's just like, once they started messing with me, my outlook started to change a little bit, but I see, was it warranted? Yes, it was kind of warranted, the grounds of the situation.
How did this experience affect your decision when you stated you was going to be a sheriff and whatnot, you passed the test? How did this experience affect that?
I mean, it didn't really affect it. I mean, that's something I would still, like to do, because I know that there's far worse people out there in the world, But it's just opened my eyes to a lot of things. Real life opened my eyes. Showed me that regardless of how I move, how I talk, I was literally, like I said, with the first story that I told you about, the cop who, ultimately drew his gun down on me. It didn't start off with hostility. It didn't start off with, aggression. It wasn't until he tried to escalate things and, try to get me out of the car. And it's like, I just told you, I'm not doing anything. And you wanna further escalate things. You wanna further violate me. You wanna get to feeling on me, touching on me. I said, that's violating my personal space. But when I'm airing that out, you wanna, stop cursing, stop doing this, stop doing that. Well, first off, I have freedom of speech. That's a constitutional right. But y'all wanna silence me. And then at that, you automatically wanna jump to pointing a lethal weapon at me instead of using a non-lethal, a taser or macing me or something like that. You automatically want to proceed to something that's going to instantly take my life. So it's like, at that, it's like, well, I tell them two things. You're gonna make me shut up, or you're gonna kill me in real life.
How did others around you react to what happened to you after this?
Well, my grandpa and my grandmother. My grandpa's actually a former police officer, Chicago PD. My grandpa, he was kind of worked up because, again, he sees it for what it is. A lot of black African-American young men are getting wrongfully accused, wrongfully shot, because, in retrospect, he said, put yourself in my position. If I'm an officer, I'm afraid because I don't necessarily know what you have on you. So at that, if I see any kind of bulge or any kind of suspicious movement, I have to react accordingly. And I said, I understand that, but if you are a reasonable human being, you shouldn't automatically resort to violence. You shouldn't automatically resort to, I'm gonna kill this person, even though, yes, life comes down to kill or be killed. It's like, but my grandpa, everybody was real life scared because they didn't know. They walked out of the house to see me in handcuffs, to see me thrown on a car, searched, and it's like, who wants that? Nobody wants that. To be violated and humiliated in front of, especially the people that they love. So I think, as far as like my family's concerned, I think it was more so fear because, you know, again, they know the kind of person that I am. You know, I have a temper, but it's a very slow to anger kind of temper. You know, it's like I'll get mad, but I'll walk away. You know, I'll go cool off, air off, and then I'll come back and I'll try to work things out. But in that time, in that situation, I didn't have that chance. I didn't have that opportunity to say, who is cool, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, oh, I'm in handcuffs, I'm being detained for what? You can't even tell me why I'm being detained. You can't even tell me why you're apprehending me, why you're putting me aside. Why am I even a suspect? Did somebody say they saw me fleeing or doing this? No, y'all merely rolled up on me, 5 cop cars deep, and automatically hopped out and assumed that I was the person that y'all were looking for.
How was your childhood growing up?
It was fairly smooth, honestly. It was real smooth. Like I said, my grandpa was Chicago PD. He worked Border Patrols, Customs. Again, we're from Chicago, so you know everything coming in off the lakefront. My grandpa was always, you know, there. He worked at Navy Pier. My grandpa was like my dad. You know what I'm saying? He kind of raised me, took me under his wing.
Big influence in your life.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But he always, you know what I'm saying, took me out to like the air and water shows and had fun. But that doesn't strike, you know, like the environment that I grew up in. You know, I grew up around a lot of violence. You know, people getting shot. You know, friends dying, cousins dying, family members. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just part of it. You know what I'm saying? The environment that I grew up in. But
grew up in Chicago?
Yeah. 13 years of my life.
And then moved to San Antonio?
Yeah.
While in Chicago, did you face any discrimination, racism, any of that sort while growing up as a child? Or did you experience any of that and not realize what it was at the time?
Yeah, like we had, you know, Chicago being a very diverse city. You know, we have blacks, whites, Mexicans, Chinese. We have a mixing pot of all denominations, all races. And, you know, I had a few run-ins with, like, you know, some Caucasians that felt that they were privileged or they were uppity. You know, they wanted to, you know, talk down. But I've never been one to, like, let people talk down to me, because it's like I see it for who I am. You know, I'm not gonna let somebody bully me. I'm not gonna let somebody walk over me. So it's like, hey, you can call me this, you can call me that, but at the end of the day, I know who I am. And I've always been that person to voice out my opinion. I'm not gonna hold nothing back, because when it comes down to it, why should I hold my breath for anybody?
How are you hopeful that police brutality, discrimination, and racism in the future for, who's to say, your kids, your great-great-kids, and your descendants on down will change and they would have to go through this?
Honestly?
Or do you think there is no cure for it?
Honestly, I'm a big history fanatic. History was my favorite subject in school, and, you know, going back on history, I don't feel it'll ever change, because, you know, it's been apparent since 1970s, 1980s, you know, even all the way back to the riots, when you have people just trying to protest peacefully, you know, say, hey, this is how we feel, and we're trying to get this off our chest. I don't feel it'll ever change, because I feel as if, as long as that fear is in the police, that fear is always going to be in that person who's being victimized. You see what I'm saying? So, as long as people are being victimized and accused, and not to say that, you know, people aren't rightfully accused and wrongfully accused, but as long as people are being victimized, or what is the word I'm looking for? Discriminated or profiled. As long as people are being profiled, I feel like that fear is always going to be there on both sides, from the victim and the lawman's perspective.
How do you feel your generation, our generation, views racial issues compared to other generations?
Well, honestly, I feel the older generation, they see it for what it is. They see that it's been around for years. I feel that they're more effective when it comes down to dealing with it because, again, they have more years on the earth. They've been around it longer. Us young people, it's fairly new to us because we're raised in a society that tells us we're all the same. We can have the same thing as this white kid, or or this person who comes from this particular background. So with that, school systems and everything else, they teach us that, hey, as long as we shoot for the stars, we can do it. We can do anything. So it's like, I guess it's fairly new to us as being millennials. It's fairly new to us. It's not something that we're accustomed to dealing with because, again, we come from different sports teams where we're mingling with people from different races, or we're a part of this organization where we're not really looking at the color or the contents of this person's skin. We're more coming together on a common goal, or trying to get something accomplished. But then we graduate and we get into the real world and we see that racism is very much alive, it's very much prevalent. I have some buddies who gone to the military, and they tell me, like, in basic training, it's still like, hey, you still got some people that are like, the South will rise again, kind of like with that, that kind of, racist kind of mindset. And it's like, what they don't see is, we're coming together from all different kind of backgrounds, different kind of assorted, situations. But we got to look beyond that to ultimately reach a common goal. And I said that's really sad to say because the military is supposed to be the greatest, task force there is. We're all supposed to be united. But yet you still have individuals who want to divide inside of an organization. And that's the truth behind everything.
How would you describe yourself?
Very unique, very talented, humble, modest, easygoing, slow to anger. But when I get angry, it get real.
What's important to you? Goals, values, that nature?
What's important to me? A lot of things are important to me. Like my family is most important. My education, because knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you are likely to do. Education.
Tell me a little bit about your education. What school you attend?
Well, I attended St. Philip's. Actually, I'm in the process of going to the military. I'm trying to go to the Navy. When I was here at St. Philip's, my major was aircraft aviation, avionics, and that's the really cool thing about going to the Navy is that's one of the jobs that I qualified for, and that's what I'm trying to really embark into. I want to get more involved as far as like the flying dynamics of planes. I want to be a pilot, young black aviator, and elevate myself.
How do you feel about telling this story today?
I mean, it was kind of easy because at that, I've told the story to internal affairs at the police station because I felt that I was wrongfully accused, wrongfully looked at, profiled. Again, to have, like I said, to have a deadly weapon drawn on me. I felt vulnerable, I felt very weak, but I can speak about it because, again, I talked to my attorney and he said, it's very unfortunate that you had to go through this. But he said, you being a black man in America, he said, I can promise you this is probably your first time you've gone through it. He said, I can almost guarantee you it won't be your last. And I said, that's sad to say because, again, I was profiled. I was looked at, oh, he's sitting in a car with his hood on, just like this, just sitting here with a blanket on. Cool, got my bags packed in the back. And I real life got profiled. And not to say it hurt me, it just made me, like I said, it opened my eyes. It made me see things like, wow, just because of the context of my skin or the way that I'm talking, I'm getting apprehended, I'm getting detained. Or just because I'm voicing off my opinion, I'm getting looked at differently.
Do you have any faith backgrounds?
Faith.
Religion?
Oh yeah, it's tattooed right here on me. You know what I'm saying? It's with me. I take Jesus Christ with me. You know what I'm saying? That's my Lord and Savior.
During your experience, the story you told, how did faith play a major role
Honestly,
in this experience?
in that time frame, I don't think I was looking to God. I was looking more with, you know, hate in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's like I wasn't think. I was thinking, and I was thinking very clearly, but it wasn't like godly thoughts. It wasn't anything like, oh God, if you just help me get out of this situation. It was like, God, if I could get my hands on this person, you know, it's like I was real life thinking out of anger. So with that, you know, I took some punishment. You know, I said I had to go to God and ask for forgiveness because I knew in that moment I wasn't thinking godly thoughts. I wasn't thinking, hey, this person is just potentially looking out for the safety of others, because I saw it for him trying to apprehend or, you know, detain or potentially violate me, you know what I'm saying, myself. And I just said, hey, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And let it play.